Hello again, everybody. This is Dan Clouser, and welcome back to the Journey of My Mother's Son podcast. Today I'm joined with other full-time RVers and Y2V volunteers, John and Karen Gailey. Guys, thanks for joining me today.
Our pleasure.
Love to.
So we are in Roan Mountain, Tennessee, on a Y2V2 project. We initially met you guys in Picacho Peak, and now this is the third project that we've been on together with you guys. We've gotten to become, pretty good friends, and you're out there digging holes and moving stuff around, picking up brush, landscaping, painting, all that fun stuff. So first of all, I want to talk a little bit about what led you guys on a full-time journey. And I always love to hear from a husband and wife, whose idea was it? So whose idea was it?
It was John's.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because we started, every time we would come back from a vacation, and, starting 10, 15 years ago, we'd say, why are we going back to that rat race? And so we had talked for years and years and years of, boy, we should get an RV and really travel a lot. And maybe we can camp host and so forth. And we go to RV shows every year and look at them. And, ooh, we like this one. And then the next year, ooh, we like this one better. And we talked about it for years and years and years. And finally we narrowed down to this particular model if we really liked it. And then my retirement started getting closer and closer and closer. So I said a date, and I said, we should really do this. We should get that trailer in the truck. And Karen's very happy working away and doing her job as a CNA. And we, and then she says, well, maybe we shouldn't full time because, I'd like a
Home base.
A home base. And I said, well, okay, we should get a home base. Where? Well, we don't know.
We haven't got a
So
home
we
base.
finally got to the point of, well, okay, we're selling our house. We'll get the trailer and the truck, and we'll start traveling, looking for our home base as we go.
Right.
Which is very difficult to find a home base because there are so many beautiful places in this country.
We were pretty narrowed down of kind of where we wanted to be, but we have seen so many amazing places as we've traveled around. And now, so we're still looking.
Yeah. So Karen, when John first, did it take some convincing on the full time? Or, I mean, obviously you said you wanted the home base at first, but what drove you over the edge to say, yeah, let's do this? And how do you feel about that decision now?
What drove me off the edge?
I probably did.
The for sale sign in front of the house. But do I like full timing? Yes.
Yeah.
There, like I said before, there are so many gorgeous, beautiful places in this country that I would never have seen if we weren't full timing.
And the new friendships we develop as we go, and that's wonderful too.
Yeah. That's the one thing I think for Sandy and I that we value more than anything at all is the relationships. We've met some incredible people. I mean, yourselves included, obviously.
Wonderful people, and this way we can enjoy other people's dogs.
Yeah.
And we don't have the expense. So
yeah. As a matter of fact, when John was heading out or coming back from the shower today, I was bringing Uke back down, and Uke all but pulled me across the driveway to get to him to make sure that he would pet him before he came back in the camper. So, you guys definitely get to enjoy other dogs without having all the fur in the camper and all that stuff.
That's true.
So you guys are originally from Utah.
Yes.
John, you were retiring.
Yes.
Karen, you weren't at that time. So how tough was that part for you to kind of take like an early retirement, so to speak?
It was extremely hard. because I took care of geriatrics. And the bosses told us all the time, don't get close, because, but I am one that got really close with my patients. And that was tough to leave. In fact, I had a guy call me and ask me if I would do full-time just with him. So that was hard.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know that's a tough industry. My brother is actually a physical therapist assistant in a assisted living nursing home, and the wisdom that he gains from those people, and he loves telling those stories. And he, like you, he couldn't not get close to some of these people,
Yeah.
So I can see how that would have been hard to say goodbye to some of those clients, for sure.
That's hard.
Yeah.
But...
And John, as you were in the tech industry. So tell me a little bit about that as you were approaching your retirement.
Right.
And this next step.
Yeah. As we were getting closer and closer, I had been working with our financial advisor I originally wanted to retire at 40, and I did. For what? A year and a half, 2 years, and before Karen said, you need to get back working and get out of my hair. Keep busy. But boy, I wiped out most of the honeydew list during that time. So I went back to work for a while, but yeah, I had been, let's working with my financial advisor. Can we move it up? What about? And finally he said, yeah, you can do it anytime from this point on. And I said, okay, well, and then there was a great transition in my work that made it even easier. And set an approximate date. And so therefore I set the date, and it was right when COVID started shutting down businesses.
Yeah.
So it was great timing for him.
It was great timing.
Yeah.
So I retired and started hiking every morning up in the mountains and being out in nature, and that was just amazing.
Yeah. And you guys do a lot of hiking.
Yes, we do.
So tell me about, what it is about hiking that you guys enjoy so much.
I'm sure that John would like to go faster, but I like to more or less stop and look around and really benefit from the scenery and take it all in. So a hike that would take normal people an hour or so, 2-3 hours later, I may be finished.
Yeah. But I think that's part of, I think that's a great lesson, though, is that we do need to enjoy that, And I think when Uke and I go on a hike, he helps me enjoy it more because he wants to stop and sniff everything that's out there every, 15 feet, if that. So I think that's great that you can slow him down a little bit to enjoy it a little bit more. Because I know we hiked Picacho Peak together, and I mean, man, that was just an incredible hike. But it really kind of, scratched the surface of some of the things you guys have done on hikes. And I know for me, I just love being out there in nature and just seeing,
seeing and hearing and
smelling,
experiencing the whole,
Yeah. So you guys did a little piece of the Appalachian Trail here. Tell me a little bit about that, some of the things you saw there.
Yeah, we did a little piece of the Pacific Crest Trail last year. And when we saw that we were going to get close to the Appalachian, we thought, we've got to jump on that. And I'm sure we'll do more. But, wow, I had no idea that East Tennessee and North Carolina looked like that. We hiked up on we were pretty high up, probably over 5,000 feet, and we could see for hundreds of miles. I don't know. We could see a long way.
Yeah.
But there's this pine forest.
Yeah.
That was just...
that we hiked through that was just gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And then a forest of rhododendron.
It's just gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah, it is amazing just being out there in nature. I love it. And Sandy and I did the little loop around here the other day with Uke. And again, it was so nice. I mean, so nice. So, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about Y2V and volunteering. So, like I said, you guys are on your 7th project.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably roughly about 14 weeks of your lives. Why? I mean, we work hard on these projects.
Yes, we do.
We work hard, and there's, last night Sandy and I didn't make the fire pit because we were spent.
What makes us want to
what makes you
this?
want to do that? What makes you want to spend your retirement working long, hard days sometimes?
Well, for me, to feel like I'm worth something, I want to be doing something, especially serving.
Mm-hmm.
Like I served my people. I can serve, the parks. And I want the parks to be here for my great-grandchildren.
Right.
I want people to be able to enjoy what I've been able to enjoy.
Yeah.
And Shar and Phil, with the Year to Volunteer, they've just given me that experience. And so.
Yeah, and I've always had a kind of a volunteer need, desire. So I've served in the Boy Scouts for dozens of years, and for our church served a lot, going volunteering at farms and then donate. I donate blood all the time. So I love donating and helping people and organizations. So we, as we started our full time, we'd actually call around. There was a website, what's that called? JustServe.org. We'd go on there and try to find something local that we could go join. But the problem with those is they're really short term, maybe an hour or two.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
And very seasonal.
Okay.
And so we were looking for something much more robust where we could really jump in and make a bigger difference. And boy, a Year to Volunteer has really fit that bill.
Yeah. So how'd you guys find out about a Year to Volunteer initially?
I think I found them on YouTube. I think as I was searching around, getting stories from full-time RVers, and I saw them there, and I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. And I went to their website and showed Karen, and we were looking at some of their projects back in, the fall of 2020.
Yeah.
And in fact, we had started communicating about coming to Tennessee way back then.
Okay.
For some of their projects, but then they had to postpone, and we didn't have our trailer yet. And we weren't sure if we could make it all the way out here in time. And so we kind of put it on hold and then signed up for our first one in Montana, which was in April of 2021.
Yeah. And
we didn't know what to expect, but you're right. We got up there, and at the end of every day, we were just falling
exhausted.
in bed, so tired, but felt so fulfilled.
Isn't that the truth?
And so many new friends that friendships we were establishing. It was just very enjoyable.
Yeah.
We got through from that, and we only had 3 or 4 days to get to the next project in Wyoming.
So you signed up for two right away.
Yeah.
Right away.
So you were jumping in with both feet.
Both feet.
Yeah.
And boy, we had to race to get to the next one. And we were hoping for a day or two to be able to sleep in and get some energy back. But it was just fantastic.
Yeah. It's you know, and obviously, you know, Sandy and I, we gave back a lot in our old hometown, and that was one of the things we were a little concerned about when we started, you know, full time RVing, is what, you know, what would we do to kind of fill that void. And one of our first trips out, we ended up um, going to Lake Charles and help with some hurricane relief right after the first hurricane came through, in between the two hurricanes. Um, but when we came across a year to volunteer, I mean, it was like, wow, this is something that will really, you know, again, fill that void. And it is amazing how at the end of the day, you can be so tired, but yet so fulfilled knowing what you did. And I want to talk specifically about the Lake Charles project. Because again, that was really special for Sandy and I, because we had been there before. We had friends there, and we gained more friends from our first time. And to see how that community just really embraced us. I mean, how did that make you guys feel, just seeing that community just wrap their arms around us and you know, love us for being there?
It's just, you know, you really don't think that you're really affecting other people. You're just doing your thing and hoping that someone will enjoy it, and then they come out and you can tell how much they appreciate what you're doing and how grateful they are, and it's just,
as they kept bringing food night after night after night, we'd go up and, you know, just gushing, thank you for bringing this food to us. And the first couple of times I was really surprised, because they were saying, oh, no.
Right.
We're here to thank you. You don't need to thank us. And I, you know, that kind of took me back, because I, like Karen, I'm trying to serve the park.
Right.
I didn't necessarily associate it all the way out to the community, but
Right.
wow.
Yeah. You don't always connect the dots in that way.
Right.
A lot of times, that, you know, what we were doing there, you know, we were restoring a community staple that had been stripped from those people for over a year and a half, from when those, you know, storms came through and it being closed. And I mean, for me, the first meal where, you know, that was, you know, all she wrote. For me, you know, when they talk about, we've made memories here with our kids, and they're crying, and, you know, they want the park back for their kids' kid. And just like you were saying about, you want your grandchildren, your great grandchildren to enjoy what we've enjoyed. And, you know, for us to go out there and be able to restore that for those people, I think really gave a whole new meaning. You know, like I said, we all know that we're serving and we're benefiting, but man, when you see it like that, like if there's any doubt, it's like, you know, you're getting slapped in the face. Like, no, you guys are doing more than just clearing trails and picking up debris and building tent pads. You know, you're changing lives.
One lady that I talked to, that she'd taken her kids there and all of this stuff. So, you know, hopefully this can open up, and, you know, you can bring your family back. And she just started crying. And she says, you have no idea how much this means to us.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, for sure. Pretty incredible. So what other, I know we talked about this a little bit around the campfire the other night, but what other project really made an impact on you guys? I mean, obviously Picacho, because you met Sandy and I.
Yes.
yes. That went, you know, I, for me, all of the projects, I haven't had one that I just dislike.
Right.
There isn't a place that I'd say, no, we're not going back.
Right.
I love them all, but the one for me, I think, is our first one. And I don't know about other people if their first service project is their favorite. But that area was just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And the park rangers were so kind and accommodating and just knowledgeable and helpful, and they interacted with us. I love that place. So.
And another one of them for us, or for me, was we were in Indiana on a project, and our oldest granddaughter has wanted to come on the road. She is a wandering soul, and she had actually already spent a week with us traveling, and she wanted to come out, and so she found a cheap flight, flew out to Cincinnati. We picked her up and took her to the project, and we had worked out with Shar and Phil, and she got to work with us at that project. Cool. And that was so fun to be able to serve with our granddaughter and have her meet some of these great friends that we've made.
And she has memories, because we got to release monarch butterflies at that project.
Right.
So she painted and helped put up lights with John, and she got to release monarch butterflies, and we played all sorts of games at night. And it was wonderful.
Yeah, I think that's a huge impact. Without knowing her, the impact that's made on her life, I think, is better than anything she could have ever learned.
And I'm sure it wasn't solely because of this, but she graduates from high school this year and has signed up now to go
Puerto Rico.
To Puerto Rico? Is that where it was?
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica to teach English because she wants to serve.
That's awesome.
So she's going to go there and put off her college for a semester, and serve a little bit before she jumps.
I think she will learn so much, preparing her for college and that. Yeah. And I think every kid should do that before they go to school. Like, just take a year off and just go somewhere and give back. Because I know, several podcasts now. I did one with Orrin, my last one, and we talked about, in that Lake Charles project, that there were two families, Cody and Brittany had their two boys there, and then Danny and Heather had their boy there. And I think the impact on those kids to get out there and get involved, because again, they weren't just along for the ride. I mean, they're out there swinging hammers and picking up sticks and the whole 9 yards. And I just think it's so important to get younger people involved in giving back in any way that you can. So, and I think it's awesome that you guys kind of had the foresight to, get one of your grandchildren out there and, have them roll up the sleeves with you.
It brought a completely different meaning to that service project with having her with us.
Yeah, that is so cool.
That's so cool. Yeah, it was great fun to have her.
Yeah.
And, Susan and Jeff were the managers of that project. And I have to give it to them. They just took our granddaughter under their wings and just treated her like they treat everybody else. Right. This is what you do. It was great.
It's awesome. I love that. So how many more projects are you guys signed up for this year?
We're signed up for 2 more at the moment. Yep. One in the summer at Kansas and one in the fall in Wisconsin.
Okay.
So
Reggie, you guys are signed up for Reggie?
Yes.
Sweet. Good. We just signed up for that.
Oh, did you?
Good.
And I'll tell you, that was our first project. Reggie
was
2021. And when you guys meet Marge, you're going to be completely swept away. And she is an amazing, amazing human being. And you talked about the monarch butterflies. I mean, when you see her, communicate with these birds and release these birds back into the wild, I can't even put it into words, the feelings that you say. So you guys are in for a treat with that one, I guarantee it.
We're excited.
Yes, we are.
We're excited about that.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Anything we didn't cover before I get to my final question?
No, I don't think so. But boy, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
One of the things that I really like about the Year to Volunteer is because we're kind of like this network. So if something goes wrong with someone's trailer or whatever, we just put it out there and ask, and so many times it just gets fixed.
No, that's very true. I mean, we had an issue with our water pump when we got to Lake Charles.
No, that's right.
And, Gary and Shannon jumped in right away, and Orrin happened to have a spare water pump, And,
Orrin is our Y2V treasure.
yes, he absolutely is. He absolutely is.
And I hope I'm that kind, have even the smallest amount of being that capable and willing at his age.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And you were going to say something, John, before Karen?
No, I'm not sure what it was. Well, the other thing I've really liked as we travel around, we get to talk to people in the campgrounds and other places, and it's fun to share with them the importance for us of serving.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, and it's fun to talk to them and see that light flick on in their minds too of, I didn't even think about doing something like that.
Right.
You plant this little seed in their head, and they...
Yeah. Well, I mean, even the impact we made on the camp host here.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, we were over there replacing those doors in the maintenance shed, and he came over and he's like, "Man, I just can't believe, you guys came from all over the country, and you're out here, working as hard as anybody, and it does. It makes an incredible impact." And I think to be able to share those stories and get more people involved, is a way to definitely make the world a better place for sure. But I want to backtrack a little bit because we started talking about Orrin, and I think it deserves another round of conversations here. So I'll start with you first, John. I mean, we built that flume, which was just one of the coolest projects I ever did. I mean, we were literally, 19th century engineering.
Yes.
And, in my podcast with Orrin, I talked about how, he had a visual of how that, without a blueprint, had a visual of how that would put together. And I think what's so incredible about him is just his patience.
Mm-hmm.
And, you and I were the ones on the ground there, putting the screws in and sliding the flume together.
Yep.
And, he was just helping us through the process.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean to you, to see somebody like him with his experience and just, again, the incredible patience he has? Not that we were, messing it up, but just the way he talks to you and directs you is just really special.
Yeah, and I've seen that from a couple other people, but he is a great example of teaching, but not doing for us, but kind of instructing and guiding and then enabling.
Yeah.
I really love to be enabled once somebody has given me enough information that I can go. And I never thought in 100 years that I would help build a flume, a 19th century flume.
Yeah.
But it was, like you said, it was one of the coolest things that I've ever participated in, and that's not the only one. I mean, raising a floor in a smokehouse and
barn and the whole 9 yards.
It's just been wonderful because I get to learn. I get a little sample of another skill in a safe, I'm sure it's controlled, he's not going to let me mess it up too bad, environment that gives me that satisfaction. So it's wonderful. I love that. I love when I run into people like that.
And Karen, you got to work
today
on the wagon. You and Ginny worked with him.
The really interesting thing that I have found about Orrin is that he will teach, he does have patience, and he is the type that will do any of the work. Nothing is beneath him.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
He just does what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have the attitude of, you did it wrong.
Right.
he just, oh, we can fix that. Or
that's okay. We can fix that. Just take this screw out. Just take this screw out.
Yeah.
We'll move this around.
And he just gets it done. It's just, I love working with him.
Yeah, he is definitely awesome for sure. So, brings us to our final question, and I'll let Karen go first. So as I told you guys, the subtitle of the podcast is Many Little People in Many Little Places, which comes from the opening lyrics of a song called Gloria, which go, when many little people in many little places do many little things and the whole world changes. So what's one of the little things that Karen does on a daily basis to make the world a little bit better place?
I try to talk to somebody new every day and learn about them. Something that,
It's not just talk, but really engage.
Yeah. Like, we met some people down in the campground tonight. We just started talking to them. And
she just literally walks into their campground and asks, "What are you cooking tonight?" And we got into a big conversation about volunteering and where they've been and where we've been.
That's awesome.
And it was just, you get to know people, and it's fun.
Yeah, and I think if more of us had those conversations, we would really find out that as human beings, we have a lot more in common with each other than we don't, which is different from what we hear a lot of the times. Everybody wants to focus on our differences, but I think there is a ton that we have in common that we really need to focus on more. So, John, and what's the one thing that you do to make the world a little better?
One of the things I've tried to do for a little while now, and I'm not always successful, but I literally pray every morning for an opportunity to make a connection with someone. It might be helping them, it might be uplifting them, strengthening them some way, and then try to watch for those opportunities, whatever they might be. And sometimes I'm not as successful as I want to be, but other times you see, oh, well, maybe I can just, kind of like Karen does, she does it way better than I do. I should go talk to them, and maybe, there's some way that I can brighten their day just a little bit. So that's one of the things I do, is I seek for opportunities to just be, whether it's just a light or a smile or a greeting, or maybe helping them in whatever they're struggling with.
Yeah, I love that, and you never know what they're going through.
No, so never.
That little bit that may seem, again, kind of little and minuscule to you, probably makes a huge difference to them. So,
and I've experienced it myself, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is just someone saying, giving me a big smile and waving hi or something. Yeah, makes all the difference.
Cool. I love that. Guys, I really appreciate you taking the time. I love working with you guys. I love the fact you were willing to sit down and share your story with me. And I look forward to Wisconsin even more now, knowing that you guys are going to be there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's, like I said, that this network and this community that we've built through this organization is something I'll cherish for the rest of my life for sure. So definitely appreciate the time. Folks out there listening, be sure to check out my blogs and other podcasts at danclouser.com, and be sure to check out my books at amazon.com. Guys, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.